What's up, y'all? Riley here, and since it's the start of the new year, I thought I'd kick off 2023 by talking about some of the plans that Hannah and I have for this year. And in addition to some traveling, some moving around in our personal lives, and some plans for our business, one of our focal points for 2023 is equipping our new truck for adventures. And we already have an idea of some of the companies that we're going to be working with, some of the modifications that we're going to be making, and the overall direction that we're going with this truck. So I thought I'd just go ahead and preview this new build for you and kind of discuss why we made some of the choices that we made with the direction for this new build. So let's get into it. If you've been following along for any amount of time, or you've checked out my other videos, or even maybe read my blog, which is where I share a lot of my thoughts on vehicles and gear and life and whatnot, then you'll know that Hannah and I have kind of gone through an evolution with our preferred method of travel. We started off in ground tents out of the back of a Subaru. We evolved to be rooftop tenters and love Jeeps. And now it's our goal to stay out for months at a time. And that is what catalyzed the purchase of this truck. We want to be able to stay on the road for multiple months while working our full-time jobs and living our full-time lives. So it's not a vacation, it's not a break from everyday life, it's a different way of approaching everyday life. So with that in mind, we got this big truck, and that would imply that we are planning to do something a little bigger. A lot of people have asked us if we're going to continue to use a rooftop tent, or if we're going to tow like a travel trailer or something. And the answer to both of those questions is no. We're not going to have a rooftop tent on this build, at least not permanently. And we have no intentions of towing anything except when we have to move. So what we are doing is getting a slide-in bed camper. So we're going with the truck camper for this build. I'm gonna have to ask you to wait to see what it is until we actually go and pick it up, because I want it to be a surprise. It's fun for me, and hopefully it'll be fun for you too. But we went through a lot of steps in determining which one we wanted, hard side or pop-up, what features it needed, how heavy it could be, and all that stuff. So I'll explain all that in another video, but cat's out of the bag to an extent. We are doing a truck bed camper with this build. The second thing that people like to ask us about is, are we going to lift this truck? And the answer to that is, I don't know. It already comes with a 2-inch factory lift over a regular Super Duty. However, there have been reports of these shocks not lasting very long. If we want to run 37s, then we would have to lift it. So there are some unknowns there. In terms of longevity of the suspension, whether we want to deal with warranty if those issues do come up, and if we want to run bigger tires. Speaking of tires, we are not keeping these, and we're not keeping these wheels. I do think that for a factory wheel, these are very good looking, and the fact that they come with a true 35-inch tire and a decent tire at that is a bonus for this Tremor trim. However, we thankfully have been able to work with a wheel company in the past, and they will be providing us with wheels for this new build. So we're very grateful to them. Again, I'm not gonna spoil the surprise and tell you exactly what wheels and tires we're going with, but I can tell you that Anthem Off-Road has been one of our biggest supporters in our journeys, and we've been blessed to represent them at shows and get to know them personally, and they're all very good people. So we're happy to have them on board with this new build, and that does mean that these wheels and tires are going to be gone. Hannah and I have both been very impressed by this truck so far. It has tremendous capability from the factory. It's exceptionally comfortable on the interior, and overall we just think that it's a high quality vehicle. Definitely the nicest one that we've ever had. There are some things that we don't love though, and feel free to disagree with this, but one of those things is the chrome. We don't personally like chrome. We don't think that it fits the aesthetic of the build that we're going to end up with. So we are planning to get rid of it. That'll most likely happen in the form of front and rear bumpers, not immediately, but down the road. We will probably pull the grill and paint it, or replace it with a grill from the black appearance package, or maybe even have it wrapped. But the chrome will be going away. Some of you are probably rejoicing, some of you are probably like chrome, and that's okay too. While we're talking about things that we don't like, these headlights are halogens, and personally I think that's a little ridiculous on a truck that costs this much, that you have to pay extra to get LEDs. But despite their size, the size of my torso, they do not produce a lot of light, especially if you're in a rural area. It is honestly kind of dangerous to drive back roads and not be able to see animals that are about to jump out in front of you. So we do want to replace the headlights, the fog lights, the tail lights, all that stuff, primarily because it's a safety concern, and maybe it's over the top, but I don't like the thought of Hannah driving alone at night and not being able to see, or somebody not being able to see her. So we're going to be swapping those out for something that I think is more aesthetically pleasing, but also a lot safer. A moment ago, I mentioned possibly wrapping the grill, and that is something that we've never done before, is wrap a vehicle. So this time around, I'm working with a local business here in Florida, a friend of mine who has a very cool Gladiator, and you should definitely check it out. I'll link it below. Very unique and very nice guy. And he owns and operates a custom wrap shop. So I'm working with him to design something for this truck and kind of set it apart a little bit from the other full-size Overlanders that you see. Nothing over the top, just something that kind of captures the spirit of what Hannah and I like to do, kind of puts our personality on there, and is also fun to talk about, take photos of, etc. So we will be doing a partial wrap of this vehicle. I'm very excited to finish up that project and be able to share it with you. It's something that we've never done before. So personally, I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. So I've talked a lot about the things that we are changing on the exterior of this truck, whether they are aesthetic or for functionality of getting us to where we want to go, facilitating our adventure, etc. That doesn't mean that we're not doing things to the interior. In fact, there's already a couple of small things that we have done. So the first was rubber floor mats. Obviously, if you're going to be off-roading or just living life, they're far better than those carpet things, so easy to rinse off. We've also added some organizational materials to the interior of the truck, like some trays, some little bags that fit in the nooks and crannies, as well as a console safe, just to add a little bit of deterrence if we encounter any criminals on the road, which is something we do have experience with. So just a little peace of mind there. Additionally, we plan to add some Molly storage panels from Invictus Off-Road. They are a company that predominantly makes products for Jeeps. They've kind of grown in that space in the last 2 years. Dave owns and operates the company himself. It's a small American business, and they make things like visor panel covers, headrest covers, seat back storage, that kind of stuff that's all made in America. We have the pleasure of knowing him and working with him in the past, and I can't wait to see what he comes out with for these trucks, because I think that that kind of product is something that's severely lacking in the full-size truck segment. So really excited to see what Dave does and to continue to support him. Aside from that, there's not much that we're going to add to the interior. We're obviously going to do what we can to keep our camera systems working when the camper is on there, and kind of unlock, get around some of the factory settings that are on there that limit the usage of those types of features. But otherwise, that summarizes the interior. So there you have it. That's a brief preview of our plans for this truck in 2023. And while that's exciting, it's not nearly as exciting as where we plan to take this truck. So I hope you'll follow along for that. There is the possibility that we have to make some changes to the suspension, or we rethink tire size, that kind of stuff. And if that does happen, I'll be sure to share it with you. We will be making some modifications to the rear suspension just to support the weight of the camper. And we are considering going a non-traditional route with that. something other than airbags. So if that does happen, you'll be the first to know. It might interest you if you also plan to use your truck for a truck bed camper or something similar. In the meantime though, drop some suggestions in the comment of products that I should look at for this truck, whether they're just for fun or if they will facilitate us getting to places that we want to be, or whatever it is. I'd love to hear them, love to read them and respond to you. And until then, I will see you in the next one.